Kay, how did you kind of get introduced to this universe? Are you from the Hackverse? Are you from LawTube? Are you from the sector? Like, how did you get into this or start following it?
So I followed LawTube,
Okay.
like occasionally. It wasn't like every case. I first ran across Nick about 4 years ago, when he had Emily D. Baker on for the Toddy Westbrook and Without a Crystal Ball lawsuit, and he had her on, and I watched the stream. I wasn't particularly a fan, so I didn't watch again. And but you know what's funny is that Without a Crystal Ball, who was part of the lawsuit, actually was in the running for lolcow of the year against Nick. So that's kind of weird circle thing there.
Did you keep following Nick, or was this one of those things where it just popped up and you're like, whoa, I live in the area, I'm from this area? Like,
so after that, after the first initial stream I saw of him 4 years ago, I would occasionally see clips of him floating around, and I'd watch them. I did tune a little bit for the Farron drama. And what other? There was another drama. Oh, the Legal Bites drama. So I watched some clips then, but he really wasn't on my radar much. Yeah, and then when he got arrested, and I saw the clips of that, I got interested because I live close by, and I also can relate to the conditions the kids were living in. I had a similar kind of childhood experiencing those kinds of things, living in a disaster, living with instability, no routine, being exposed to things way before you should be exposed to. So it hit close to home in more than one way.
okay, are you from the area? What kind of brought you?
Well, I don't live exactly in Candy, Ohio, and I hadn't been to Spicer or Wilmer or anything. I did drive through the area once to go camping, but other than that, you know, these are insular communities, small insular communities out here where you stay pretty close to home unless you're going to the cities.
So I got to ask, do you know anything about Aaron Imholt? Did you ever follow his stuff?
I didn't until the arrest. Yeah, that was the first time I heard of him.
But you've been watching him now, though?
Yes. Yeah, I'm keeping up to date now.
Have you ever been to Stoney's?
No, you know, when I went camping, we were really close to Stoney's, and if we didn't have our dogs with us, we would have stopped.
That is so cool. I want to do like a $20 donation so I can get a gift certificate so I can go to Stoney's. I'm dying to go there.
Yeah, that would be cool. Maybe for trial.
Right. Okay. So what made you want to go to Kayla's hearing?
I didn't plan on going. I debated on it for a while. I had other plans come up, and so I wasn't going to go. And then those plans fell through last minute, and I was like, oh, why not? I have nothing else to do today. I had plans, so let's just go ahead and see what it's all about. And I checked out online, and it didn't seem like maybe anybody was going, so I was like, well, maybe I'll find out and be, you know, somebody that can clear up what's going on there, you know.
Yeah, definitely, because you physically saw them as, you know, you were there. Is this the first Rekieta court hearing that you've been to?
No, I did go to his omnibus hearing too.
Oh, okay. So you think like he recognized you when you're there?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I mean, it was small last time, and then with me being there, yeah. And last time when Ethan Ralph did his live stream right after, he made a comment about they were all Kiwi farmers, maybe possibly one reporter, local reporter. I assumed he might have meant me as being the possible local reporter. I don't know. But yeah, there wasn't enough people there last time for him not to recognize me.
What was it like seeing Ralph there last time?
It was weird. He was the first person I saw when I came up the stairs and turned the corner into the hallway. And he looked me up and down, and I could see the wheels turning in his head, like, who is, like, sizing me up, like, who is she, what's she here for, all of that. And yeah, it was a trip.
Kind of surreal.
I didn't know about him until right before the hearing itself, and I was like, okay, who's this guy that's coming that I'm hearing about? Like, and looked into that.
What was that like?
Yeah, I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to expect with that, with him being there.
So, are you a kiwi farmer?
Absolutely not. No, I didn't know about kiwi farms until also this case. Now I have gone and read the threads. I don't have an account, but I have read the threads to get caught up when big things happen now. So,
But you don't post or anything like that?
Never. I've never posted, and I don't have an account.
Cool. Did you see? Okay, so let's get you, like, you get there, you park, you show up, and then you're getting ready to go inside. Were the Rekietas outside waiting to go in? Did you guys all go in together? Were you like in a meeting area? Like, how did that work?
Last time for Nick's hearing, when I got there, I got there like 10 minutes before it started, and there was everybody waiting in the hallway, and then we got ushered into the courtroom. This time it was just me sitting out there. They were late, and I got led into the courtroom before they got there. And so I was just sitting alone in the courtroom with Kayla's lawyer. It was, and then I think the prosecuting attorney, or whoever was, yeah. And that was, I waited for them, and they showed up late, and they stayed out in the hallway for like 5 minutes talking with her lawyer. But it wasn't very far from me, and I could see they were frazzled. I could see the tension between the two of them.
What do you mean by frazzled? Like, I know what the word means, but can you kind of explain that a little bit? Like, were they disheveled? Were their clothes off? Was their hair not done properly? Like, it looked like it was in a bun, but I'm not the fashion police either. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, explain that, please.
So she was in a bun. Her hair was in a bun. She came in with like a frantic kind of energy of like from being late, and peeked her head in to get her lawyer's attention, and her lawyer walked out to the hallway. It just was that energy of I'm late, and the lawyer was like, you're fine, you know, it's okay, and trying to calm her down, because she just had that kind of frantic energy.
Yeah. Did she say why she was late?
I did not hear a reason, no.
And like, I just say, like, what exactly did the judge say? But like, what did he say? Like, was it initially like, why are you late, Miss Rekieta? Or was it like they got started and then he was like, why were you late? Or you were late? You know what I'm saying? Like, you talked about the admonishment.
Yeah, at the very end, right before he excused everybody, he just said, you know, next time you need to set an alarm, do whatever you need to do to make sure you're here on time. That is your responsibility. So.
Wow. So you better set an alarm clock.
Whatever it takes.
What did she say? Was she like, yes, Your Honor? And they're like,
what was it? Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay. So where in the courtroom were you sitting once things took place? Like, were you on the prosecutor's side? Were you on Nick's side of it? Where were you?
There's only, there's 3 like benches. They're like pews in a church. There's not 2 sides.
Okay, so it goes across.
Yeah, there's the two front benches are shorter than the back bench, which goes from wall to wall. And I sat on the back one. Nick sat in the front one. So, wow. Yeah.
So it didn't sound like it was a very big like courtroom.
Oh, it's tiny. Sorry.
That's okay. So like it being small, like you said, like could like physically, could you like smell Nick? Could you kind of smell that he came in? Like, were there any things kind of going off, like when looking at him and stuff like that? Like, what was it like being near him?
I tried not to like stare at them, or, you know, I was trying to give off the vibe of like, I'm just non-confrontational. You know, I'm just here to observe. And no, I wasn't close enough to smell him. His hair, he did have like bedhead or something going on in the back, like messy hair in the back, you know, but I was staring at the back of his head. So
because he was in front of you. So I guess Nick is kind of tall. Like, how big is Nick?
I would say 6'2", 6'3".
Oh, wow.
At least.
Slender.
very slender.
But you said that Kayla looked like she had been getting healthier, or had looked better than the last time you saw her. Can you talk about that transformation? And then again, has Nick changed in your eyes?
Nick didn't dress as nice this time. He looked about the same as far as how thin he was. Kayla was super, super thin the first hearing, and this time she had put on a little weight, and I think she looked a lot healthier. I know people are giving her a hard time about, you know, her butt and whatever, and I feel bad for that. I feel bad for Kayla.
I don't think Kayla looks terrible.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, they're just haters. Can't all be perfect. I think Kayla, you look very nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was dressed nicer than they were for court, but she looked like she looked healthier, and that I was happy to see that.
Did the judge or the lawyer kind of look at their clients and be like, you know, hey, what's going on here? Why do you look so disheveled? Is there any kind of a back and forth between like her lawyer, like kind of like, hey, what's up with this? You know?
I didn't hear anything like that. I was surprised the lawyer was just in like slacks, a blouse, and like a cardigan. Like it wasn't like what I would assume a lawyer would wear. So yeah, I was surprised by that. It was more casual than I expected.
Gotcha. Wow. Let's talk a little bit about, I'm assuming this is what took place. Before things were over, Nick had gotten up to catch you as you went outside. How did that work?
Well, the judge ended the hearing, and I was gathering my notebook and my purse and stuff. And when I looked up, I saw Nick had already left, and Kayla and her lawyer were walking out. And then when I went in the hallway, I saw Nick was ahead of Kayla and her lawyer, and he went down the stairs, and they went straight into a conference room, Kayla and her lawyer. So I kept walking downstairs. Now our phones are in a locker out there. And I was distracted because I forgot to turn it. I had a timer set on my phone, and it was going off in the locker. Even though I turned my ringer off, it was still going off in the locker. So I was distracted by hurrying up and getting my phone out of the locker to turn that alarm off. And when I turned around to walk, it's right next to the door. When I turned to walk out the door, I noticed he had his phone up towards the door. And I stopped, and in between, there's two doors you can go out, but there's a section in between. And I stood there for a second where he couldn't see me, just to make sure he was recording, to see what I was walking out to. And as I looked around, he still was recording. So I went ahead and walked out and asked him, like, oh, you're recording me? Now, at this point, I had not recorded him. When I walked, he had his phone kind of like this, but looking kind of to my left, like he wasn't looking directly at me. I was like, so you're recording me? And he's like, uh-huh. And then stopped recording, put his phone down, started walking towards the door to go in. I said, wait, if you're going to record me, I have a few questions for you. And he's like, who are you? And I said, a concerned citizen. Now, I said that kind of to troll him. You know, I know that was in the warrant, that it was called a concerned citizen. And, you know, I was kind of caught off guard and just said the first thing that came to my head. Not thinking about it, you know, I don't want him to think I was the one who was the one calling it, that made the report against them to get this started. I was not. And I'm also not Minnesota Public Records either, to just set the record straight, because I've seen that in the comments of people covering the video. So I am not. So when I told him, or he asked me who I am, and I said concerned citizen, he's like, you're no concerned citizen, and put his head down and walked in the door where I was not able to. I didn't have my phone ready or anything when I walked out the door. I probably should have. I should have got it out when I saw he was recording. I should have took that time to then hold up my phone and record him back.
So as soon as he walked out of that locker room and was outside of the court building, he had his phone ready to record, basically.
He was recording before I walked out, yeah.
Okay, wow. So it kind of like ambushed you. As you came out, he like was recording you.
Mm-hmm. There was no way I could get past him without him getting me. Yeah. And that is why I chose to show my face today. It's because, you know, if he may feel like he has some power over me, that he can release that, you know, and that I'm just going to disarm that and go ahead and show my face.
Yeah, good for you. So let's talk a bit about was it intimidating when he was there like that and standing in front of you like that? If I remember correctly, you don't tell me how tall you are, but if I remember, you're not that tall. And so
I'm short.
Harrison, you're short. So as you came out the door, there's this 6'4", 6'3" slender man with this phone in front of you, and you know this kind of history and everything going on. Like, what was that like? Were you scared? You know, like.
I mean, it caught me off guard, and it did rattle me a little bit. But his reaction then pissed me off, like of him, just his tone and the snarl he gave me when he's like, "You're no concerned citizen." You know, I was like, "You don't know me. You know, you're psychic now." And I am concerned. I am definitely concerned for his family.
Right, the children.
Yeah.
What do you think about the kid coming up positive for cocaine?
You know, there's a lot of red flags there that just with my history of what I've lived through in the similar kind of childhood, it's some major red flags for me. And, you know, it concerns me, like, of what the implications of that could be. You know, there's a lot of different, they could have accidentally got it, which is obviously negligence. But I mean, it goes to the range of intentionally, and what would that be for? In my history, it was, this is such a touchy subject. Yeah, it was used for control over, you know, okay. Yeah, I would hope that, for the sake of the family, the kids, that he would, do what he needs to do to get his life together and give them the stability and security that they deserve. I hope that this situation turns out better than my situation. My mother did die from a drug overdose, but I can only go by my history of what I've experienced of similar. And when alcohol and drugs were given to kids, in my experience, it was a way to lower their inhibitions and possibly get them addicted to a substance that they may then do things to get that substance in the future.
Do you think that that is the case, or?
I honestly don't know. I mean, there's no way to know, but I hope CPS is looking into the possibility.
Okay, so let's go on. You had talked about a dark energy around Nick. What did you mean by that?
He just has a very troubled vibe about him. His eyes are dark. He doesn't look completely sane. And that, if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for the dark energy, the kind of craziness in the eyes, I wouldn't have been intimidated. He's kind of effeminate, even though he's very tall. He has a lot of effeminate gestures and movements. And so if he didn't have that, yeah, like I said, the energy, the dark energy, the craziness in his eyes, I don't think I would have been, and his height, I wouldn't have been intimidated at all. But yeah, I was, because of those things.
So what was it like when you went outside and you decided to get that video? And he had just gotten video of you, like, I guess they were in the conference room, and then you'd waited for them to come outside, and then you got your footage. How did that work?
Yeah, I went across the street so I wouldn't be on the property. So that's why the video quality is not that good. I had to zoom in as far as I could. I wanted to get the footage without being too intrusive.
Were you worried that he was going to come over and say something or do something at all?
It entered my mind, but you know, I was ready for it. You know, to stand up to him if he tried.
Would you go back now, knowing everything that you know, and after this previous experience?
Yes. I might take my husband, but I'll go back.
That's probably a smart move. Yeah, probably handle business.
Yeah.
What would you say to Nick? Let's say you had him in front of you and you were able to talk to him civilly, maybe one-on-one. What would you ask him? What would be your questions to him?
The first thing I would say is your kids are aware of so much more than you give them credit for. That's standard for all parents, but especially parents that are living a lifestyle that they think they're keeping things from their kids, because if they have an inquisitive kid like I was, I had to find out the answers when things didn't add up or things were confusing. I would eavesdrop. I would whatever to find out. You need stability, and when things aren't stable, you're trying to figure things out. And I was aware of everything. I mean, I really at seven, I knew when threesomes were going on. I knew, yeah, like I knew, and I knew what drugs they were on. I knew how they were doing them, when they were doing them. And they would lock themselves in the room for the whole day with their friends, and it's very, very similar. Um, the state of the house sounds very similar. So it's so easy for me to put myself in their shoes. And that's the first thing I'd say is your kids are aware of so much more than you give them credit for. But two, my biggest question is, they had a whole ass house next door. Why didn't they keep that for their drugs and their sexcapades, to keep it away from their kids? They could have got a nanny, or even nanny cams, since they're right next door, to keep that away from their kids. I would have a much different view. Plus, if you think about it, when they came with the warrant, he's not a very good criminal, because when they came with the warrant, if the drugs were in the other house, the warrant was for the main house. I don't think the warrant covered the other house. So the drugs wouldn't have even been in the house. But so it would have protected the kids and protected them. And it's just, I want to know why. Why didn't you use that house? That's just stupid.
To me, they're both of the girls, Kayla and April, are back there in that back bedroom where the bathroom is, where everything was at, all the paraphernalia, everything, her credit card with the substances on it. Like, no one thought to go back there and empty it out into the toilet. No one thought to flush it, even put it in the carpet. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can't get all that out of there. And even if they did, it would be like under a gram. Like, you had 26 grams, partner. Like, that isn't recreational.
No.
And then the gun and all that. Like, I can understand the weapon and the ammo, but like keeping them next to the drugs, like, what are you thinking? Like, you're right there. You're both in the bathroom. No one thought to go into, like, what were they going to do? They thought they were going to get it back? Did they think they were going to do it later? Like, they were going to get out of this? Like, what? Sorry, that's me, like, brushing on you. But, like,
I get it. It doesn't make any sense unless they had their house is big enough that they didn't hear what was going on. And maybe they were in the midst of using. Like, I don't know, but I feel horrible for that daughter. Our house, the door got kicked in before by the police, and that is traumatic. It's traumatic. So I feel really bad for those kids.
Wow. Geez. So this really hit close to home with you. This wasn't just, you're watching it. You were a concerned citizen for sure. Absolutely. I definitely want to thank Kay for taking time out of her day to hang out with me and kind of explain her experience with Rekieta and going to the actual courthouse and things like that. So, and also I want to thank you all for hanging out with us for this long and just watching what went down and kind of being a part of this with us. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button. So I'm paid to tell you guys to do. Thank you very much. I appreciate you all. You're the very best.